Daniel Michel's put in a really good performance for Australia in the individuals, got the bronze medal, of course, so I'm sure he'd love to add a gold to that trophy cabinet.
Yeah, they're a good team as well, a good group of people, good bunch, so yeah, good luck to the Aussies.
They'll just have to come up against a guy we all know very well, in Gregorius Polychronidis.
Yeah, a nice easy game for them, yeah. No, Greg's been in such good form, it's just...
He's really been a pleasure to watch this week.
I mean, he's played well all year, to be fair, but it just, he's just a cut above. He just knows what to do when.
And as we see, first jack placement from Boccia on the far right for Thailand. How can he follow up his first throw? Nicely done. What a start from Boccia.
Yeah, good angle. Box 2, but he'll be fairly happy with that. Ideally, when you're playing from box 1, you want to try and cover the guy that's next to you, not really get worried about the other boxes. It's sort of like you pair up against the guy next to you, and you've got to try and beat your near side opponent. So, yeah, that'll do.
Not a bad start for Boccia, but of course, like you mentioned there, David, in the team games, no angle is covered.
No, exactly. That's why you've got to focus on the guy that's next to you. You want to, when you put it on, you want to just put it straight on in front of you. Pretty much, you don't need to worry about the angle so much. It's more about just getting it nice and straight on, and then make the wide box do the hitting, and make them spend their balls quick.
And of course, just the formalities in terms of there is 6 ends, of course, in the team competition, and 6 minutes per end per team, not individual. So they've got to work together and make sure they get all 6 balls out there. Yeah, not quite for Sugimura there.
He's got a bit more gap than you can see from there. Yeah, that's all right. It'll probably be box 6 now, just to lay in. Anything that sits between the red and the white is hard to move then, because you can use that red as an extra blockable.
So we're going to have a look. Our first glance at Takayuki Hirose on the far left. Perfect, absolutely perfect from Takayuki. He's nailed that one.
He's a bit unlucky actually, because he hit it nice and it just bounced off slightly, and as you can see, the angle's not quite great. The problem is with the Thailand team is you give them a sniff and they'll the power they've got, they'll just destroy it.
Yeah, we've seen it all week with the players from Thailand. They've got so many great players. I mean, if you look at that lineup out there, it's just fantastic player after a fantastic player.
I think there's a nice little knock on there, and as a BC1, you want a nice, fairly gentle start, and he's got a really nice angle there, because even if he misses the red, he's probably going to take off the blue. We BC1s tend to like margins of error, so if you've got a big margin, you're happy.
Well, let's have a look at Vitsinu Hybridats.
Yeah, that's a good line. You'd fancy that. Ooh, he's not caught it right.
No, just a slight glance, wasn't it, on that one?
Yeah, hit it on the wrong side as well. Didn't play to the margin. I would have played that more on the right-hand side, knowing that if I missed the red, I was going to take off the blue. So, a bit of a nervy start. That's interesting.
Just having another look on the replay. Did get a bit of movement to the jack, but not much.
Yeah, just needed to hit it fuller and more on the right-hand side. It just would have done a better result, but that's okay. Yeah. His 2s will save him.
Yeah, of course. Got to work together in the team competition. Sangampa, what a brilliant player he is. He's already picked up the gold medal.
It's just the action he gets on the ball when the backspin is just awesome.
So good to watch, isn't he, Sangampa?
It's like a coiled spring, and he just lets it go and bang.
You just don't expect it, and then suddenly it just flies out the hand. Brilliant player to watch. I'm sure he's going to be a key part in this final.
Shot. Ooh, no, that's not. No, that's not. It's not great. He didn't want to do that. Again, a little bit nervy, the Thais at the minute. They're not quite firing. He hasn't quite I think they just need to settle down now. Okay, it's not gone the way they wanted to do. They're not playing quite how they want it, so they'll just pop a ball on it now, close it down, reset for the next end. I think it's, yeah, all a bit nervy. Not understandable, it's the final, you know. Good thing is they've all got the ability to close it down as well as they have to open it up. So,
yeah, all brilliant players on. You just can't give them any sniff, can you? They're so clinical. Normally, of course, we just mentioned there, they look a bit nervous, I have to admit. More nervous than I've seen them in the championship so far, but very early days, of course.
it's also good to remember that the Japanese have beaten them once before, so maybe that's on their minds a little bit as well. But, you know, they're up for this one. You know, sometimes being nervous isn't a bad thing. It focuses the mind a little bit. So.
I love that
that's
shot.
the one. Yeah, they always had that in the locker. So, yeah, that's good.
Brilliant response from Vitsanu there for Thailand, and it's put the pressure back on Japan.
The BC1 union is happy.
Always look out for each other, don't you, the
yeah,
BC1s?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is such an interesting dynamic with the BC1s and BC2s together, of course, and you only need one BC1 per team, of course. So
you need that's the rule. You need one on the side at any one time. So for example, in our team we had Ricky as well, but you know, if we had a two, they couldn't substitute me for the two that I'd need to stay on all the time, which makes it interesting. Usually you play the BC1 in the middle. Sometimes it depends on what the BC1 can give to the game and what their strengths and weaknesses are as well. Both these teams line up fairly conventionally, with the two sort of being the pincer movement with the power, and then you have the BC1 as the sort of layer upper.
Nakamura, first look at him in the final. How important is the role of the captain in this team? Of course, he wants to get the players all fired up and ready for the game, but he's also got to make sure that they don't get too ahead of themselves if they're in a really good positions as well.
I think both these teams don't communicate that much. Certainly not as much as we do, but I think it's because they've been playing together for such a long time. There's almost like that understanding. They all know what they're going to do. So in their teams, the captain's role isn't as big. That's a good shot.
Good reply that from Nakamura.
Anything that widens the target, gives the two something to go for. So yeah.
Anything Vitsanu can do, Nakamura can
match
do
it
as well. What a start to this first end. Another look on the replay.
Yeah, Red's still holding one, but it's not like I said, with the two blues being sort of behind-ish now. You've got options. You can either clip the white back or you go through the middle. Depends what they want to do. Again, you don't want to open it up now, because you know obviously the Thailand have wasted 4 balls already, and you kind of think, well, you can stay in the game now. You've got a chance, even if you just take one on that first end. It's Japan will be happy with that. You don't need to force it. So yeah, it'd be interesting whether the near side decides to, because actually that's the only shot he's got, and he might as well take the opportunity while he's got it, knowing full well that there's balls left to come from his teammates, so he can be positive with it and see what happens.
Of course, only 2 balls per individual in the team, so Sugimura's got 1 left on the far right for Japan.
They've kept the spread quite good with Japan. We always try and play that way as well if we can. Obviously it's not always possible, but you want to try and have each player with a ball left. It just means that whatever happens, then you've got an angle. Every eventuality is covered.
Yeah, we saw that actually in the previous bronze medal match. Yusan Zheng just went for it with 2, and then that angle was blocked off. They couldn't get to it.
Yeah, you need to be careful with that. Sometimes you have to do it, and we had situations where we've had to sacrifice that ideal. But to be aware of it and to make that conscious decision. Good shot.
Nearly actually stacked it on top as well, and Peter Maguire calls it his profiteroles.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure about that analogy, but I'll let him have that. I call it a pile-up.
Yeah, that's the more technical term I think we like to call it.
But yeah, I mean that's not bad. Again, I think he could have been a bit more aggressive with that. From that line, he could have given that a bit more power, and I think even if the white springs a little bit more to the right, it gives the angle then to clip it back to the blues. So I think it was a little bit tame. I would have been a bit more positive with that. But I like power, so I'm a power freak.
Maximum power But now let's see what Sugimura can do on this far right second ball.
Yeah, he's gone for that. That's the shot I saw. Yeah, he's done it. Yeah, that'll do. Yeah, made him play. Take that. One ball left. Left it open though.
Yeah, he certainly has, and just see it there, just sandwiched in between the.
The only thing is, because you've got the blues behind, if you lay up to the white, you're not guaranteed to be on it. So that's why they're coming out to check it. I mean, you could be really mad and actually go over the top and try and take the two blues off in like a single lob shot, which the Thailand team aren't adverse to doing. They do tend to like to play the crazy shots.
Well, they're so good that they can nail them half the time, can't they?
Exactly. So, and they've got the power as well. Or you could actually aim for the red that's near the white and sort of smash it through and see if he can get the two blues away and leave it open. I wouldn't be surprised. Anything can happen here.
It's always good to have options.
Yeah. Power gives you options, I think, and the Thais play that way. The more power you've got, usually you can control the game better. And also it doesn't matter if you miss them because you can deal whatever someone else throws at you.
Sayangampa throw next for Thailand. See that power straight away from Sayangampa.
Yeah, it's quite a nice controlled shot actually. He didn't give it full whack, he just kept it low, put a bit of spin on it and managed to flick the red around to get it touching the white. That wasn't full power by any stretch, so that was good. I like that. The throw, you can see what he did there just to bring the red back into the middle of the jack.
You can see the effort he's put into trying to sort of turn his body as well to get that spin as well.
Yeah, spin and control. That was a nice shot. Yeah, not always easy. I've got a similar wrist shape to him, so those sort of shots where you try and stay low and not hit it too hard when you've got so much power, it can be difficult to control them. And actually, I find that the more power I throw it, the straighter the ball goes. So for him to hit that well, good for him. Yeah.
Just having a meeting, the Thailand players.
Yeah, they never seem to run out of time, so they've got a bit like we, it's good to go out and have a look. A good team actually. Again, they don't communicate too much unless it gets a bit sticky, and it has got a bit sticky at this end, so the communication's good. They all know what they're doing, so yeah.
Long set, throw next on the far right.
Let's see what he does here. He could lob it. I don't think he will. I think he'll just try and push the red in.
30-second clock sounded.
Yeah, he just pushed the red up.
Just securing it, isn't he, with the jab?
I mean, even if it's not one red, they would take one blue as well, because again they're so confident that they don't really mind if they're one down, one up, two down for it. I mean, they probably would only start panicking if they went 6-0 down.
And even then, I wouldn't even back them to come back into the game. But of course, with the difference with the team game is the 6 ends. It's so crucial, isn't it? You've got so much more time in the game. Yeah,
you can't. There's no danger really. I mean, obviously, with their team, they've got the stamina and they've strength to carry on. It's obviously for us and for the other teams, every end is really important because you need a good start and you need to gradually build it through. But that's where sort of Thailand and sort of Japan as well are slightly above the rest in that. For them, they've just got that little bit more quality to be able to, turn things around or catch people on the hop, as it were. And they don't panic. So.
Japan have one left, and they've handed it in as well. So that'll bring the end to the first end. It looks like. Yeah, both teams sort of feeling each other out at the minute. No one really committing for the jugular shot yet, which is fair enough. I think it'll probably come on the sort of second, third, fourth end. You'll start to see the fireworks. Could be a bit of a slow burner, but good start nonetheless. A tight start, some great play we've seen so far in this first end, and it's 1-1.
Sensible start. You don't want to give too much away in the first end, and they've done. Both teams are just sort of feeling each other out at the minute, not really committing. So it's all good. Keeps it interesting.
Yeah, it certainly does. Going to the second end, 1-1.
It's even more interesting. Yeah.
So there we go.
I think Japan will be more happy with that, and in that case, because they're jack now. Interesting to see where they go. You see, a lot of people try and take Thailand a bit longer because obviously you limit their power, but then you don't, because they've still got it. But
I know what you mean, though. There's no
the effect of it.
They lose the control a bit, don't they?
Yeah.
In terms of throwing it longer.
But then also the Japanese play a little bit like we do centrally, so it's like they have been known to play sort of cross at 4 meters or maybe a little bit beyond the cross. So again, interesting. Well, they might move it around as well. They sometimes play the jack all over the place. They never keep people guessing then.
No, it's certainly going to be really interesting to see how they play this next one. And of course, what we're trying to do here is inspire the game of boccia and give it the coverage it really deserves. And if you've been inspired by what you've seen this week, David, what's the best way of going about it? How do you get involved into boccia?
Well, I mean, there's lots of clubs now actually across the country. There's lots of things online. If you go on to like Boccia England or Scotland or Wales, or all of the websites have got information on local clubs and areas. And we've got some good coaches. We've got competitions all over the place for people to take part in and just get into it. So yeah, and it doesn't have to be even if you're not quite in the Paralympic classifications. There's obviously the boccia is played at the Special Olympics, and boccia is also all over the used across the country in sort of schools and stuff like that as well. So again, it doesn't have to be disability orientated. Anybody can play it. So I would just say get out there and chuck some balls.
Why not? And then whilst at it, watch the professionals. They're about it, and we.
This is very interesting. I really wouldn't have predicted them putting it there. Yeah,
it's right in the line of Nakamura.
Yeah, I just kind of think like you're playing at them at the same game. It doesn't make sense to me. I mean, they'll probably prove me wrong now, but yeah, don't know about that.
Be intriguing to see where they go now. This is an important follow-up ball actually for Nakamura.
Yeah, I remember being in that position in London. Absolutely nailed it against Thailand. Didn't last very long. They sent it straight off and yeah, it was similar to that actually. But it didn't last very long. Yeah, it was. But yeah, this ain't gonna last very long.
It might look like a good start then for Sugimura.
Yeah, it was a good start, good line, good angle. But like I said, the first ball in that distance, it's too easy to knock off. So it's too early to tell whether that's good or not.
Especially with the power that Thailand possess in their ranks.
It's interesting to see whether he could go for the blue or he takes the white back. I would have said he'd go for the blue, but who knows? This could go anywhere.
This really could. This is. It'll be intriguing to see how he goes for this one. Of course, he has got that sight of the jack as well. Yeah,
he's got power, but he might not use it all. I would personally put a marker down, just clear it and go again. But yeah, he's gone for the
just driving it and putting it further away, but now opening it up.
Yeah, interesting position that's gone. Obviously the blue very straight, quite short, so blocking the BC1, but giving Profiterole a really nice line in. Just anything past that blue, you'd say, does a really good job. Forces the right hand side to play more. You can use that blue as a guide as well, which helps.
Yeah, we've seen that often. That's the one thing I've really picked up on throughout the week, is it's not necessarily the best shots are the ones touching the jack. It's the ones that can block and you can use as a guide.
Yeah, he's good at this shot as well. He's got a nice pace control about him. Again, BC1 Union coming out there. But no, he's good. He's good. They've got a lot of time for him. Nice chap as well. So
it's Snoop who predict. He's taking his time.
You don't want to take too long with the BC1. The longer the take, the arm stiffens up. I should know. And you just want to get rid of it. So you're struggling a bit here. Just calm, mate. Calm down. It's all good.
Pressures of a final running through his head.
No, that's okay. Yeah, he's definitely struggling then. You could see this. You could see with the cerebral palsy, the shoulder stiffened up and he wasn't able to get his arm up as high as he normally does. Again, been there, and it's a horrible place because you know you can do it, but your body just won't let you. And you just like, you almost want to, the thing is you've got to put it back, but BC1s don't like giving the ball back to their assistant.
Yeah,
it goes against every grain in your body. It's like, no, just throw it. So yeah, That's make some play at least, but it's not great.
Yeah, there's a clear sight here for Takayuki on the far left for Japan. Shot. Takayuki, he really loves that as well. Look at the reaction.
He knows, you see, he's got that blue that's short, he's got the red in the way. That's really covered it up, and yeah, the Thais don't look on it at the minute. They're not firing at all. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Japan maybe start pushing on now and just trying to get a bit of a lead, because you can never write the Thailand off for long. So you've got to, when you get a chance, you've got to take it and take it well.
Well, that's what we've seen the best players do throughout this championships. When there's been errors, they are so clinical. Will be.
Oh, he has got a line actually. That's okay.
So yeah, just about, hasn't he?
Yeah, just about. He's okay. Sigh of relief. Shot.
Broken away. He's done the work of Takayuki.
That's a good thing about the twos. Even if Hoopertit is struggling, it just gives the BC1 that little bit of confidence that his mates are going to help him out if it's not quite working for him. And then as he grows into the game and gets stronger, they start executing 6 out of 6 or whatever. It's so hard to play against. You literally just can't miss against them. And again, the same with the Japanese team as well. The twos are very good. So as a BC1, you're just like, it just gives you that chance to grow into the game.
Just gives you that more energy and that bit more time, and I certainly agree with that.
Again, I'm sure the twos up here will be saying, if only we had a good BC1 in our team, it would be great. But yeah, so you appreciate the other team members' abilities and stuff like that, and you just, when it works, it's beautiful. And when it doesn't, it's very frustrating. Shot.
Great shot. Sign Gamper this time.
See, the good thing with that is he's got the line spot on, so box 6 can't really hit that and split it. The only way he can hit it is if he hits it back. So he's forcing box 2 to play, really. I mean, it kind of works, because if box 2 hits the white, it goes behind the blue, so that's okay. But it's good that it's forcing only one player to play. Ideally, you want to have multiple options in case you miss. But this is sort of they can't miss now. If he misses this, the Japanese could be in a bit of trouble. So yeah, it's good. I like that shot. Pressure on.
Certainly is. And what has been a very tense and fascinating BC1, BC2 final on show court. All eyes are on it. The glow from the court.
Interestingly, the ball count is good for Japan though. So again, that I'm always thinking about that when I'm on court. Like, how many balls have I got to my opponent and all that. So 2 to 4. That's a good shout. They'll be happy with that. Obviously, if we can get this white back to behind that blue, they'll be really happy with it.
Certainly will. Sugimura. He's got 2 balls in line with the jack, but he has got that slight angle of look at the jack.
I think it's one of those shots where the harder you play it, the safer it is. The harder you play it, the short ball becomes less relevant, because the balls they kind of get thinner as harder you throw them, because of the softness on them. So, power. He's gone for it.
Oh, he has.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's not too bad, is it? It's not the greatest of outcomes, but it's not too bad.
No, that's right. I mean, as long as they play again now, it works. I mean, and then they're ahead on the ball count, so that doesn't matter. That they haven't quite got the result they wanted then. The fact that he's opened it up is good.
Game management so important in not just the individuals, but these team competitions.
See, I see a blue ball sandwich coming on here, but I don't think he'll play it. But the shot I would be tempted to play would be a bit more power into the jack, try and knock it on to touch the dark blue, and then you have a blue on one side and a blue on the other. Hence why I call it a blue ball sandwich.
That's the first one we've heard on the commentary. It's a great analogy, actually. It literally is just sandwiching them together.
Yeah, and then what that does then, it gives them two birds to knock off. Certainly give the Thailand team a bit of a headache with only 2 balls remaining. I don't think he'll play it though. He'll probably just lay up to the white. It's still early days.
He's gone for it. Very nicely done from Nakamura.
But with that blue being behind, it means that if Thailand either go too aggressive or don't block this out very well, means that the Japanese team can be a bit more aggressive now, and they know they've got that covering ball behind. Always like a ball behind. It just
gives it added bit of comfort, doesn't it?
Yeah, it means you don't have to worry about pace. Obviously, pace control is the hardest skill in the game. Obviously, the lining up is not so bad. You know, sometimes it can be a bit under the pressure. The lining up does go, but actually, no, the pace is the toughest skill to get. It's I always like a little pace and space up the side. It feels so good when you get the pace absolutely spot on, even if you don't quite get it on the white.
Will be Boccia on the far right.
Yeah, he has got a shot there actually, because that red's in front of those two blues. If he hits the white back, probably 30 centimetres, red go back in control and blue end up with a bit of a sticky situation because the blues are too close to the red ball. Precise shot though, has to get it spot on. Yeah, that's not bad.
It's not too bad. It's not. You can see in his reaction.
He wanted to hit that harder. Yeah, I think he was sort of betwixt and between. He kind of did neither. You think he either, do I just lay up to this or do I knock it back a bit? And he ends up doing a bit of neither. But that's okay. I mean, they're holding two. I mean, they won't be for long, but they've got balls in the head. I think Japan will probably win this end now. But pressure on the BC1. He's not got an easy shot. The problem is his margin's a bit tight now because obviously either side of that blue and he hits the red in.
Exactly, yeah, it is.
So, and obviously that goes through your mind when you're playing. You've got to turn that off in your head and go, right, just focus on the target, give it plenty and hope for the best.
Probably the best advice you could think of, just focus on the ball, see the target.
The quarterfinal was pretty accurate at that, the straight on, so he's got it in his locker. He can do it, but again, under this sort of pressure, there's with Thai also, with the Thai who's holding two, he knows this is the key ball, and also the angle's a bit tight for his teammate, so he's the one. Yeah, it's him or nobody. So,
1 minute.
How's your temperament? Pretty good.
Oh, lovely, fantastic, and like you said, David, the precision he had to get on that with the two red balls next to the jack, and he's nailed it. He's done really well there.
Yeah, he gave it plenty. Like you can see he gave it plenty because that blue's not touching the gap between the two blues, so he gave it a little bit extra just to make it get out there, and that's what you need to do. You can't in this sort of situation. You can't sort of faff around trying to be precise. You just got to hit the target and hope for the best, and let the ball do the rest. Yeah, you see, it's interesting. Got a tough shot here. I can't really see how he can get out of it, to be honest. I mean, he's probably got a bouncing shot where he can bounce over those two that are blocking him and try and sort of in off the red on the left as he's looking at it. So on our right.
Yeah, it would be an incredible shot if he could pull it off.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be in it, but a good effort though.
He went for it.
Yeah, that's the shot. I mean, probably wrong side. I would have gone for the inside of that ball, but same difference. But he's got it round, so I don't think Japan are going to score many more than that now, particularly with where the balls are coming from. There's not really anything on. I mean, that red could have done with being a bit further, actually, because if it goes behind the jack, yeah, they're looking at it. There is a possibility of moving the jack back towards the dark blue. It's a difficult shot, though. You'd have to. It's very risky as well, because you don't want any miss on either side. It's not good. But if he aimed for that red, where they're pointing, and if he got a bit of luck and catches the blue that's on the jack instead, then the white goes back towards the blue, so there is a bit in it. He might go for it. No, he hasn't. Yeah, fair enough.
I think that is completely understandable. It's going to be a tight game. You already have that feel after two ends.
Good, we like tight games.
Yeah, they create the drama that we want all the way through. And it will be Japan who will take the 2-1 advantage going into the third end. Information from the referee. 2-1 to Japan, and all to play for. Very exciting start, tense start as well.
Yeah, I think Japan will be pretty happy. I think they've pretty much bossed that. They've been in total control of that all through. and Thailand have been done well to stay in. But if I was the Thai coach now, I'd be giving them a few stern words. You know, if they want to win this, they're going to have to show it. And actually, I would start taking some chances now. You know, the way they play is attacking Boccia. It's time to break. Time to take the handbrake off, as I say to some of my teammates sometimes. You know, get rid of the handbrake, play with freedom, show us why you deserve to win this.
Let's have a look at how both Thailand and Japan got there. Convincing win for Thailand over Brazil, and 6-5 win for Japan over China. That was a brilliant game.
Yeah, Portugal did well in the. I mean, obviously 9-4. It sounds like a big win, but against Thailand, that's a pretty good score for Portugal. Fair play to them. They took points off them and they made them fight to the end. I think the Brazil game, Thailand versus Brazil, is a bit like kryptonite on Superman, because the Brazilians aren't blessed with power, and obviously the Thais are blessed with an awful lot of power. And Santos is a genius, but he's not a miracle worker. And I think that was just more a case of the teams matching up in a way that suits Thailand and not necessarily Brazil.
Well, we move on into the third end now, and it will be Thailand to place the jack, and who predict to do that. Important placement of the jack, this one. We've seen in a couple of matches so far that no one's been able to take much control in the games.
No, it's interesting in the team games. Like I was saying, my jack ball first ball was pretty poor. Has to be said. Don't worry. My assistant was very vocal after the games about that. But no, he's got a good position there. That's fine. That's where he'd want it. I would probably put it there as well as an individual. But I mean, obviously in the team, I would play a bit more centrally to keep the others involved.
Well, you say there because it's 3 metres for that, but of course with the players on the far left, that is significantly, obviously, a lot more. So
well, if anybody's proficient in Pythagoras, you can work it out. But it does make a difference because each box is a metre. So so it can be from box 6 all the way across to the short flank, 3 metres. It's about 6.5 metres, which is equivalent to throwing way past the cross. So you can imagine that it's quite a difficult skill to be able to get all the way across from the wide boxes.
And not only that, of course on the angle as well. So
but also they're required to do the hitting a lot of the time from the angle. So you're factoring in distance as well. So yeah. Shot.
It's a good one. Nearly.
Celebrated premature. I do that too. And it just bounced off. Unlucky.
Yeah, I sort of went with the celebrations. They initially looked like
he thought he'd had it. I think he felt good. It looked when he threw it. It looked like he felt good. This floor is very quick, so I'm forgiving if you don't quite get it right. It will bounce off. So that's what we like. The floor to be difficult to play. It forces the players to be more skillful and nail it.
We see the best out of the best when it comes to the World Championships, especially in the pressures of a final.
Yeah, he's got a nice shot here. I mean, but it is crucial because obviously he's the only one that can see it. So he got 2 options. He either whacks the jack back to open it up for his teammates, or he just lays in and takes control. I think he'll take control, but who knows? He's having a bit of doubt.
Yeah, he looked initially like he was set, and then I'm just having second thoughts.
2 options. Like I said, you've got 2 balls, so interesting. He might just get it off because the red is touching the white, so he's not guaranteed to be on it if he lays up. Yeah, that's the sort of play. Played it with a bit more power just to make sure that he's got him.
Look at the reaction from Sugimura, and it is, like you said, David, brilliantly played because it just allows.
It's good that he stopped to think about that. I think he was initially going to play it a bit harder to try and move it back, and then realised actually I can play it softer, but still get the same outcome and a better outcome. And he's got the best outcome really because the red's now a blocking ball. Using your opponent's balls to your advantage.
Boccia on the far right to go for Thailand.
Yeah, he hasn't been at his best this tournament, but that's good enough. Yeah,
not too bad. Yeah, like you said, David, actually he crashed out in the early stages in the individual competition, so he'll be desperate to pick up a gold medal here.
Good player, usually really good in terms of the pace control. Probably the opposite of his fellow 2 in terms of how he plays. Just he's a bit more controlled and a bit more delicate about things. Still got enormous power, obviously, but yeah, slightly different styles, but just hasn't been on it this tournament. I think again potentially the floor being so quick hasn't suited him, and just meant that the little nudges and the pace shots that he likes to play, he hasn't been able to execute as well as normally. So yeah, I can understand that.
Of course, his teammate, like you were saying there, well, in the twos is Sain Gampa, who is an explosive player on his day. And we saw that in the BC2 final.
Yeah, he just had far too much power for who he played against. He just, far too much power. But I mean, to be fair, he's got far too much power for anybody. I kind of refer to him as me on steroids, really, because he's just got so much oomph.
It was Ji Quan Yang in the final. Yeah, it was far too much for Ji Quan Yang. He actually...
But it's interesting, actually, because the Chinese BC2 has got a lot of power himself, but it would just seem that he wasn't quite on it, didn't it? He just didn't quite have that mentality. I think he almost given up before the game had started, and that's a shame, because he could have made he has been known to make a good fist of it, and it just, again, he probably hasn't been at his best this tournament. He got to the final, but he probably just hasn't quite been firing. Again, maybe the quick floor doesn't enable him to maximise. That's a nice shot.
It's a very nice looking shot, just slightly blocking off the angle.
Interestingly, that he went to the back of his box, presumably to try and get up the left-hand side and get in there, but I actually think coming out the right is better. So, and you could probably see more of the white on the right-hand side as well, and he's right-handed, so I kind of bit strange that he decided to go up the left. At that point, I would have, if he'd have been at the front of his box and played that shot, that ball would probably be sitting closer to the white now, and Thailand would be playing. My sports assistant reliably told me that the captain told him to do that, which is true. So captain takes the hit on that one. I've been known to make the odd dodgy decision myself, so yeah.
The voice you hear in the background is, of course, your assistant Sarah, giving you all the insights.
Yeah, she plays a crucial role in the team. Obviously, all the assistants do, but it's not just about picking up balls. You know, psychology as well, and in between ends, the chat, in the call-out room as well. She's the only one that's there, so you know, it's all that sort of stuff, and getting to know you outside, and you know, knowing your personality and being able to get your head in the right place before you get on court is hugely important. All the assistants do a spectacular job for the BC1s. Yeah. Again, BC1 Union coming out, but yeah, the assistants are great. You know, I know both the BC1's assistants quite well, and they're so nice, and they do a great job for them. I know it's appreciated.
That's a really nice follow-up shot from Nakamura.
He found the line that time. He done what his captain asked. Still not totally convinced it was the right shot, but yeah, he done all you can do in that situation is play the shot. The captain sees it, play the shot the captain asks, and he did it, fully committed. And that's what you want. That's what you want from a team. You want to just play what you see in front of you, and you know, because there's no right or wrong really. If the shot works, the shot works.
Saw the reaction there from support base of Japan, and they have been so vocal around the courts. They've saw a great reaction when they beat South Korea in the quarterfinals.
Cracking team, a really nice bunch, and obviously looking for Tokyo as well. So it bodes well. It's good to have a strong team going into the home Paralympics. We had it in London, they had it in Tokyo. It just means we may get the coverage now in the Paralympics in terms of having live feeds and stuff, because we struggled for both London and Rio to get the sort of camera time that we thought we deserved, and we didn't really get half the coverage we've got this week. So you know, hopefully in Japan they'll really get involved with Boccia. I'm aware that they are actually quite involved in it, and they're very popular over there, so looking forward to it.
That's nice.
Didn't quite hit it as well as he wanted to, though. Again, margin of error. I think he could have gone into the red, and actually I would have potentially pushed the red up, because it just guarantees position, whereas this has left it open a little bit, and it gives the Japanese team a fairly straightforward escape now, because you just lay into that jack now as it is, and it's going to be tough to break it out.
Yeah, it's Sugimura who has a
beautiful line.
Really lovely look at the jack here.
Yeah, I mean, and he could play it either way. He could play it, he has to lay in gentle, get it on the white, or he can actually push it back a bit. Yeah, I've just been reliably informed. Again, you see, I don't see everything. But actually there is a shot on the coming in down the back, so he probably doesn't want to push the jack back too much because obviously Mr. Power himself is coming from the right.
And with 2 balls remaining as well, Sayangampa, he's
good spot, Sarah. Well done.
Keen eye.
Yeah,
from your assistant Sarah.
Yeah,
covering all angles.
That's why she sits at the back of the court. You see, sees it all. Oh, that's not great. That's not great. Stop celebrating.
Not the result that Sugimura would have liked that.
No, I don't think that is. I think he got too much of the red, and therefore the blue ball jumped up a little bit and then rolled back. Needed to hit the white flush. Shouldn't have wiped its feet with the reds. It's a bit of a lapse in concentration, really. I'd say didn't need to touch the white at all. Touch the red at all, really.
We've talked a lot on commentary throughout the week about the mental side of it and how much if you do a bad shot, you've just got to clear it out of your mind. How important is the mental side of boccia, more as the physical side of it?
The mental side is probably more important. You can have all the power in the world, but if you're not going to hit the target, you're pretty useless. Mental side's really important. I mean, obviously, you could argue that was a little bit unlucky because it could have bridged in between jack and red, but I think it was a little bit of lapse. I think he probably thought he had more room than he had, and he just needed to focus on the white and just push it in.
Well, it will be Japan to throw next, and
this is where Thailand are exceedingly dangerous. I mean, you're looking at the ball count now. Japan are starting to struggle. They're going to be 5-3 down on a ball count soon. So, and the guy you don't want with balls left has got 2 of them.
He's sitting there waiting to pounce, isn't he?
Yeah.
You can see it in the background as Takayuki goes up next.
That's a shot. That's cracking.
Class from Takayuki.
He is a class act. He knows he's done a good job there. That's pretty awesome. He got that so well, because to keep the blue that you played in as well as knocking on, and then end up with holding potentially 3, maybe 2. That's great, and it's also covered the line. The tiger was waiting to pounce, and the prey's just got away, kind of thing. It's kind of like that now, and I mean, there is still the shot. I mean, he can still play the same shot, the whack, to hit the light blue, which sends the white across, but it's much harder now because he has to rely on a bit of luck, where the ball split, and the blues could go with the jack as well when he hits it. So, yeah, good shot. Well done, Japan. Got out of that well.
And it will put all the pressure, like you said, David, on Sayangampa in Thailand to force the initiative and get back in this game.
He's got a choice. He either goes controlled and just try and nudge it through, or he goes full out and open it up as hard as he can. I kind of think full power is best, but oh dear.
He tried again. It didn't have the desired effect.
No, he didn't. He didn't commit to it. Again, sometimes when you're in that position where you can see the shot that you're going to have in a minute, and then suddenly a player comes on and totally, like the prey that got away, you then as a predator, you're a little bit disappointed. And I think he sort of he jumped up then like the wounded tiger that hadn't quite got its meal, just like and sort of slipped off. So hopefully, come on, mate, get your
act together and see what you can do. Sayangampa, he's such a great player with the power he possesses.
Better.
Yeah. That's a bit better from Sayangampa. Went for it with full commitment there compared to the last show. He seemed to pull out a bit.
Still not happy, but that's not bad. He just, you can see, he's just disappointed that he didn't have the chance to do what he wanted to do. But you can't always rely on that. You've got to wait until everybody's played out before you can. But you just got to. I tend to just expect the worst. You just sit at the back, wait, and you think, yeah, they're going to put it on in a minute. It's going to be, and if it's at this angle, what am I going to do? If it's at that angle, what am I going to do? If he does the worst case scenario, what am I going to do about it? And I think in that case, he just got a bit blinkered into, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do. Oh no, I'm not, because he's just done a good shot. Yeah.
It's amazing how the mentality can change so quickly. The referees, line judge, just coming to.
It's probably an issue with the clock. Sometimes the line judge might have clicked. Yeah, okay. It's just been reliably performed again, you see. Oh, useful information up here. The referee showed the wrong colour of the bat, so that where the timekeeper then pushed the clock for the wrong team. It's not a problem. You just reset the clock, and then the referee will just call the right colour and we'll get started again.
Well, these referees have been absolutely brilliant throughout the championships. Just how they're such an important role, and they're so precise when it comes to measuring the ball and using all the different equipment.
Yeah, we're blessed in Boccia. We got a really good set of referees. They're really nice as well, and they're professional. And we, there's a good respect between players and referees. You don't often see controversy or angry controversy. Obviously things happen and it's sport, but you don't often see. It's normally good-hearted, and there's normally a lot of respect between the two sort of sides of it. And it's good, and they do a great job, and it's a tough job as well, because obviously one slight mistake you can move the head and it's all curtains, but they don't, and they steady hands, and yeah.
We just saw the shot previously of the spectacle of the final, the lights down, the glow. It's really set up for a really great atmosphere for a final.
Yeah, it definitely is. I had a cracking atmosphere in my final. That's a good shot.
That's a great, really good shot from Boccia. But yeah, just talking about your atmosphere. You mentioned to me, and you talked to me. You said the atmosphere really helped you.
Yeah, it did. No, it was really good. I was pumped up for the final anyway. But yeah, it's always nice to have a crowd supporting you and cheering you. I mean, in the semi-final, the crowd was great as well, which helped, because obviously that was arguably my tougher game. And yeah, it was great. Ooh, that's good.
That suddenly came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Again, not quite maximising there, Japan.
Wait.
Probably get a bit rushed. I don't know whether they ran out of time. Maybe there was a little bit of a time issue, and they had to get it out quick. But that was a good shot by Thailand to just get rid of that second blue, which sort of minimised the Japanese chance of scoring any more. Well done, Thailand. Did well then.
Yeah, Thailand back in this. It's a game that's swinging from one way to the next. It's been an intriguing final so far, and we've still got 3 more ends to go.
Well, I said around ends 2, 3 and 4 that things will start opening up. We're on M3 now, so hopefully N4 things will get a bit more crazy.
Yeah, it's been a tight and tense affair so far, and
yeah, we like open games. When the balls are moving around, it makes it's far more dynamic, and it's quite quiet out there as well. I think actually the crowd have been good, but it's been quite nervy. There's definitely a tension in the air. I didn't feel that when I was in my final, but it's all a bit quiet and all a bit just need a little bit more oomph and a little bit more noise from the crowd, and a bit more of players as well to start vocalising and getting into it. And I think it'll pick up a bit more and it'll become a bit more open.
It does feel like a game that who will break first, doesn't it?
You would sense. It's hard to tell. Japan have got form. They've beaten Thailand before. They're probably the closest to them in terms of the team game, as it's proving in the score as well. But Thailand are obviously favourites, but it doesn't mean much in this situation. You've just got to play the shots, and I think Japan will still be the happier of the two. 2-2 at half time, as it were. That's, excellent job, particularly as Thailand have had 2 ends to their 1. Happy days.
Going into this 4th end, Japan, of course, like you said, David, have the jack, so really important one to see how they go. We did discuss off air, and you've briefly mentioned on commentary, you thought that Japan might go long against Thailand, but
I thought they did, but they seem to be sticking short, and I think that what they're trying to do is contain them, and they're doing really well at it. Actually, they're forcing the 2-2s to play more layup shots and less of the power, which is great. Obviously when it works. When it doesn't, you get knocked for 6. But but no, so far so good. So yeah, why change it? See where they go. They've always got the option.
3 meters for Japan. And how will he follow it up, Nakamura?
This is the difficult one, because obviously BC1 usually less control and less likely. So a lot of the teams tend to focus on the BC1 as the opportunity end, the end where you could end up with an open jack after the first ball. Normally when I play, they get less optimistic at that point. But no, it can be a focal point as a team. You think, the BC1 and there may be a chance. Oh, and there we go.
And you see the mistake there. And just like you mentioned, David, it's now opened things up a bit.
Yeah. Thailand will be rubbing their hands together.
You can see how quickly they came forward there. They were really up and at it as soon as the ball rolled past.
Yeah, keen for this one. I would be too. Yeah, get the Hoopertit playing the right call. Get the middle box done first. Keep your BC2s back with the two balls, because obviously they got the power. So he's the layer upper, so he is going to be, when I say laying up, I mean just rolling up to the white. Sorry, GB terms for the same shots. But yeah, when he's the guy to do that in their team.
Perfectly described. It is almost like that pincer movement in action, isn't it?
Yep.
With those BC2s to the right and left of you.
And he's very good at laying up, so I would expect this to go on. Yeah.
That'll do. That's not a bad start for Hoopertit.
Good, puts on a bit of pressure. Also forces the wide box to play now, which again you want to do. You want to force your twos to be laying up.
You want to be, though. You want those twos to be the attacking outlets, don't you?
Yeah. So the fact that they're having to defend now is good. He has got a knock-on shot. There is a shot to bring the white back to the blue, but as I proved, we've done it a couple of times. We did the ball to the back. It doesn't always work because it still leaves the white fairly open. If he can get it behind the blue, then it's great. But I don't think he can from that angle. So he's going to have to just maybe do a blue ball sandwich. You never know.
Yes, from Takayuki. Great response.
That's quite good in a way, because what it's done now is there's no way to knock that back from box 5. There's no way, because you're going to just send it straight to that blue. But he has got a shot where if he hits it, wow, he could get it through and out away from the blue. But it's such a tough shot, he wouldn't play it. There's no point at this moment in time. So it's got to be wide box to come in, maybe even knock on the red, but he's got to hit it as hard as he can. Hit it as hard as he can, move it as far as you can, hope for the best.
And here's Vongsa from the right hand side.
Yep.
Oh, went through the gap.
Had the power.
The power. The radar was switched off.
Yeah, I said before that he hasn't quite been on it this tournament, and he hasn't got the slingshot that his fellow 2 has. I mean, he wasn't far away, was he? But
no, he wasn't a million miles away, was he?
But he had quite a big target as well. Let's be frank. Even if he'd have missed the red on the right, he would have hit the blue and taken it off that way. So again, not really using the margin there, probably being a bit too precise. With the hitting shot, sometimes you've got to make the goal as big as possible.
With a player like Vongsa, though, is it hard to sometimes think, I've just got to go back to the basics and think about things a bit more when he knows he's got the capability to do it?
I think it can be. I think there's a little bit sometimes of potentially overconfidence with the Thailand team in terms of that they're not able to kind of go back to basics when it gets a bit sticky. He might do it this time though. Yeah. But that's probably hitting the blue. You see, you send it back.
With that blue behind the jack as well.
See the shot I would play. They're probably going to play the Thai 2 first now, but I would be playing Hoopertit again, just to wedge in between jack and blue, because it just keeps him back with the 2 balls to save them if they need to. So it'd be interesting to see if they play it that way. But no, he's going to go first. But yeah, I would play it the other way. It's risky, but it's in this situation. I think they need to be risky.
Yeah, of course. In a final,
he's left-handed as well.
Take the initiative. There is that gap there, isn't it? Oh, just a bit too much on it.
Yeah, they're starting to get a little bit ragged here.
That's not the usual Sengampa that we've seen throughout these championships. He just.
And that's why I don't understand why he would lay up to that. It doesn't make sense to me. I think his teammate could have played that shot and just wedged in between blue and the jack. I don't know. Maybe he couldn't see it, but we're not blessed with the best. From the camera angles, it's not always easy to see what the line they've got. But I'm pretty sure he could have got inside that blue. It's a wasted chance. And now he's going to have to play himself out to get in there and hope for the best. And he hasn't done it.
Again, it's almost just too much power, really, for Sengampa, even though he's trying to go as light as possible.
Yeah, but that's not his game. That's not his game. He's trying. You're trying to square peg round hole. His game is about dynamic power, jack moving, laying up, knocking on, laying up, knocking off, laying up, knocking off. He shouldn't be playing 2 layups in a row, in my opinion. And that's just wasting balls. And Thailand are in problems now.
Well, now it's down to.
Well, they're playing
Hoopertit as well.
They're playing the shot that I said they should have played at the 4th. but he's got to put this ball in.
And if you look at the ball counter as well, Japan have got so many balls left, 4 to go.
Yeah, and every box has got a shot.
So they've got all angles covered. So
the shot I would play in a minute if I was Japan, depending on where he puts this, would be to bring the jack left as they see it. So right from our position, to bring it in front, almost towards the cross. And then it's going to be curtains for Thailand. Yeah. So
what a chance this is for Japan, and they can sense it.
This is the chance. This is the shot. All it takes is one really powerful shot into that jack, send it as far left as possible as they see it, right in towards the cross. Anything, it doesn't have to go far, but the further you go, the bigger your margin is, and it's going to maximise the score. Then they're going to have, if he gets this well, they're going to have 3 at least.
And what a margin that would be with.
And he's got the power to do it, so he can do it. He just needs to hit this as hard as he can, and you want to see that jack going in front of their BC1. If it's not in front of their BC1, they could be a little bit of bother, because obviously he's got a couple of balls to get in, and they might end up only with 2. But if he can see it all, they've got a good chance.
Important shot this for Takayuki. He sees the gap. There is a sort of opening of the ways there.
Yeah, he's just got to hit it as hard as he can. There's no danger. Oh, he hasn't gone for that.
He's trying to
Dear me.
bury in between.
I cannot believe he didn't see that. That is such a waste. Oh dear. Yeah. Sorry, I like maximising the score, so when people don't take the opportunity, it gets me annoyed.
Well, when you're in these type of games and you're trying to get the points on the board in a tight game, you know, you can't take these opportunities.
Yeah, that's poor. I don't know. I can't believe he didn't see it. I mean, he's got the power. He just smashes it wide open, and they got an easy free.
Well, we talked earlier about the lack. You feel the lack of communication, and
yeah,
how come Sugimura and Nakamura not telling?
Well, exactly. I mean, that should be captain's call at that point. He should be saying, "Hit it." I would be screaming at Claire to give that a whack, and she would be saying, "Yep." So yeah. But you know, that's where sometimes competitive advantage. Our team, we feel, on our day we can give any of these teams a run for their money. And yeah, as a slightly biased individual now looking at this game, it's good. Sometimes these aren't super. They're human after all. They can make mistakes, and it happens in sport. Doesn't always. They're not going to play champagne boccia all the time. Okay. So I've just heard reliably informed again. Well done, Sarah. So Japan like to keep the scores tight, so they don't always go for the jugular in terms of the points, but they like to keep the scores tight and sort of work the pressure. Although that was quite a very strange shot. But yeah, so obviously they saw the chance, and they obviously see that they're missing a chance now, and I think it might be 1-1. So, but they do like to keep the scores tight, Japan, and that's how they play. They keep it tight and sort of wait for the mistake. Although I kind of think in this case they've kept it tight, the mistakes happened and they haven't actually done anything with it. But hey, who am I to judge?
Well, 2 more balls left for Japan in this 4th end, and
yeah, he's got a raw smile on his face. He knows that they've wasted a chance there, but I think the blue's touching the white. So as long as the blue's touching the white, doesn't really matter that the red's touching it either. They go 3-all into the next end, and it's their end, and it's the tie end, so it's all to play for. Even Stevens after 4 ends. I mean, he's probably looking. You could try and lob that red, that if it's touching the white, looks like it is, off. At which point you could end up, with the one that you've still got. But it's so risky.
Yeah, they certainly have, and it means that
what a waste! I can't believe it.
Go into this 5th end. It looks like 3-all. We'll get confirmation from the referee.
Yeah.
With 2 balls remaining.
Yeah,
they must be seeing things we can't see as well in the angles they can see.
I mean, the 2 balls remaining, he wasn't going to do much with them. I mean, it was so risky. If he comes in hard and hits that, the white could go back, and then you end up with 2 red. So at that point, there was no risk. There was no point. So I agree with them totally that just take the 1-all. The mistake was that box 6 didn't give it, with his one ball remaining, didn't absolutely belt it to send the white left, which would have opened it up for his teammates to pile in. But hey, you know, it's all to play for. Keeps it interesting for us. Happy days.
One ball, one blue to Japan, so
not totally disaster. I mean, it was going to be either 1-1 or 1-0 to blue, so yeah, great.
3-2 to Japan, going into the 5th end. It's all to play for still. Fascinating final.
Yeah, it's good. I'm really enjoying it, actually. It's interesting to see the standard. It's been good. But it's not been as good as I thought it was going to be. But I think both teams are definitely playing with the handbrake on. They're not as free flowing. There's a lot of respect, too much respect, I think, going on between the two teams. They respect each other too much. They need to ditch the respect quickly and sort of have a go at each other.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you see the quality on the court, such as Saint Gamper and Boccia, although it hasn't had the comp championships as we all expected. Who predicts as well?
I mean, the Thai team, you know, with the twos, I mean, obviously only one of their twos played in the individuals, but the person in box 6 is a highly regarded player in the scene. He's been around for many years. He's got a lot of power. He's beaten top players before. I think he might have even beaten one of the Thais once. So, you know, he didn't play in the individuals, but he's a top player. So the Japanese team have the ability to really cause Thailand problems, and like I said, they didn't in that end, but they got the one, which was what they wanted. Now it's Thailand turn to try and come back, and hopefully this time they are going to be aggressive.
3 meters for Saint Gamper and Thailand.
They're running out of time, to be fair. The 5th end, it's time now or never, I would say, for them.
Yeah, if Japan can get a couple of points on the board, then it would be setting up a perfect final end for Japan.
Oh! Yeah,
good layup.
Good line. Yeah.
Good start for Saint Gamper, and just what Thailand needed. That's the Saint Gamper we've seen at championships. And
yeah, you just see him relax. He knew what he was doing then. He just put it there, beautiful. I mean, the angle doesn't really matter in the team, so yeah, people were saying, well, the angle's not great. Well, it's not, but actually it doesn't matter, because what it does do is it forces the hit, and the white is going to move now, and that's what Thailand like. Thailand like the jack to almost zigzag down the court from left to right, so this is fine, and it's a good start. So hopefully we're going to see a zigzagging white from now on.
We'll have 2 ends to go. Time's running out. We've just gone past the hour mark here on show court. Sugimura, throw up next for Japan.
Yeah, I think he'll hit it. I don't think he'll lay in, because even if he does, his teammates haven't got a line, so he has to hit it, which is what Thailand want.
Yeah, brilliant from Sugimura, opening up again.
So it's one part of the zigzag complete.
Well, when you look at that, that's almost the type of shot they wanted in the final end.
Yeah,
so
I mean, but that's not great, because the problem is now, you see, blue's closer than the red. So now red have the advantage, because if they can pop it on again, blue are back in to do another hit.
He always likes to try and follow him up.
Yeah, so normally with a hit shot, he didn't hit that hard enough, because you want to, when you do a hit, you want to make sure that your ball is nowhere near the white when it stops, so to make sure that you get to play again.
Well, here's Vitsnu, who predicts to...
So it's like laps with the Japanese then.
Thailand.
Yeah, got a good chance here. He'd fancy that. Pop it in. Force the Japanese to play another hit shot. Yep.
Nicely done.
And it's forcing, and the way he's played that, he's forcing it to come from the left. So they're targeting the captain here. The captain has left himself a bit of a hole, because he didn't play that knock-off shot how he should have done. So yeah, Thailand are looking strong here. Japan could be in trouble if this doesn't go according to plan. Interestingly, they're going for the BC1, which suggests to me they're thinking defence.
Yeah, trying to protect what
Yeah,
they've got.
I think it's dangerous, because I just don't think they can get around that red from that angle. I think he has to hit it. I think you have to take the hit as the captain and go, no, you know what, I need to open it up for you guys. I'm going to hit it again, send it out towards the cross and give you a big target. But no, he's shanked responsibility there.
Nakamura, as he always does, his little ritual, he goes through 3 or 4 practice throws and then takes the ball.
I think he could try and lay out to the white, dead weight. Such a difficult shot though, and he can't see much of it. He probably can only see maybe a quarter to maybe just under a half of the jack. And because he's right-handed, he's coming across it. Yeah, that's the problem with that. If he was me, I'm a lefty, it'd be a more comfortable shot. But because he's right-handed, it's not.
Such a hard thing to do, isn't it, to come across?
To come across. He's always going to come across it. So he had to aim narrow, and he did. And it just, yeah, I don't see that as a good shot. But, you know, it's in the head, so that they can defend with it now. But I just think Thailand have got too many balls. So I think you need to make them play at least one more before you start blocking it out. But they've only played 2 balls. And I can't see how Japan are going to get in before Thailand get to unleash the guns.
Unleash the ranks at the side of them as Sayangampa and Boccia. Already seen it in this game. Not to the full effect that we've seen in the individuals.
I mean, Thailand should be on a positive now because they know that Japan aren't going to take their opportunities when they get them. So you kind of think if Thailand can score in this end maybe 2 or 3 points, give them a little cushion going into the Japanese end, they should be fairly set and just. They're not going to attack, you know, they're not going to take their chances, so we can actually relax into it. Dangerous place to be for the Japanese then, you know. When you don't take your chances and your opponent knows you're not taking your chances, that's not good. So, come on Japan. You might be winning, but this isn't
over. As Nakamura
that's
goes
a nice
in.
line. It was a good effort, but again, if he was left-handed, that shot's on. I don't think that shot was on from being a righty.
Yeah, it was such a difficult one to do with that closed angle.
I mean, he's given his captain an in-off now, so that's okay. But he's given the box 6 nothing, apart from maybe an in-off on that short red. But yeah, there's not a lot you can do there. I mean, from box 6, you would say, I mean, there is a shot actually to hit the red really hard and to send the white in front of those 2 blues. But he hasn't. I mean, he didn't want to hit it the last end. I haven't seen him play a power shot all game.
No, I haven't either, and I haven't seen it in the championships.
And now you're asking him to probably hit it spot on at full power and try and get the white behind those blues. I just think you're leaving it too late if you're Japan. You know, he should be getting his firing arm going much sooner. You know, as a player who likes to do a hitting shot, I'd want to get a few hits in earlier on in the end to just make sure that I'm hitting, if I can. I mean, like, sometimes it's not possible, but he's going for a layup here. He's not going for the hit, so.
Yeah, you can see he's gone right back in his box as well.
Yeah, just in off the red, I think is the shot.
Just going for that gap between the blue and the red.
Ricochet, maybe.
Straight through. Brilliant.
He got the in off. Not the right ball for Mike, my bad. But yeah, he got the in off. That was the shot round the back. Again, it's not great though. But at least he's making Thailand play. So, you know, on that sense, happy days. Thailand are playing a shot. They can breathe easy for 1 ball. Yeah.
Just calm the nerves down a bit. Getting to the final stages.
So the shot that Thailand should play now would be to try and get on the white. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just get it on. Just to make Japan play their final ball, or final few balls. And then go with the hit. But I think that's his last ball, potentially, maybe? They've all played 1, so yeah. Yeah.
Wrong set for Thailand.
That's his first ball. That's okay. He's got a ball left.
Oh,
he went for power early. Okay. Yeah, that works.
To break it away and give themselves an angle from.
See, I don't agree with that decision. I think you need to play rope-a-dope in that situation. You need to suck Japan in to play their last ball into that head and then move it. And I think if he had 2 balls, I think he did because they all had one. Now they've all got 1 left. I think he's moved it too early. I think he could have just laid in with that, got it on the jack, let the Japanese play another ball into it, and then shift it.
Just a bit too eager maybe to clear it out.
Yeah, I mean, you can understand it. You can understand it. They're losing, so they need to get back on the board. And they like the power game, so you totally understand it. And obviously a lot of pressure now on Japan to try and get it on. If he doesn't get it on, then that decision's vindicated. If he nails it, I think I was right. He hasn't nailed it, so the decision is vindicated.
Should have been listening to your advice, David, down there, if they could hear you.
No, that was cool. That's fine. It doesn't matter how you play it. There's no right or wrong in Boccia. It's just different ways of doing it. Like I say, I like to play a more rope-a-dope style, so I'll try and suck people in before I do the power shot.
Okay.
Just because I'd rather not have to worry about them nailing their first ball on an open jack. I'd rather just have 3 balls left to the open jack myself. But you know, doesn't really matter. As long as you score, as long as you win the end, no one really cares.
As long as you're winning the ends and winning the game, you can do as you please. Now here comes who predicts the BC1 player. He's got a full look at the jack.
So from Japan, the only shot left is their captain, and he's pretty much snookered. So if he can get in now, straight on the white, don't give him too much of an angle. That's all. Oh, look at that.
Who predicts? He nailed it. It's what Thailand needed.
So Thailand have got 2 balls left. Japan have got 1 ball left and are in trouble. And Thailand have done to Japan what Japan should have done to Thailand last end by moving the jack late on into a totally new position.
It's completely backfired on them, and Sugimura now.
Just shows you can't be against Thailand when you got your chance. You have to be as aggressive as they are going to be to you when you give them a chance.
Sugimura, pressure of Japan on his shoulders.
Oh no, don't. No, that's not good. That's giving them a nice target. Yep. Oh, that was just. I heard the crowd cheering. I was thinking, oh, they like that shot. Good shot, but no.
What a chance this is for Thailand now to get in there.
Yeah, I would imagine they would score. I mean, they should be aiming to score 3 here. That's what I'd be.
Another look at this on the replay.
Oh, okay, I can understand why they clapped that. It was a good effort. He got it over the blocking balls, but it's so hard to judge the pace when you're bouncing over another ball. It's like you've got to hope that it just hits and sticks. But this floor is quite unforgiving when it comes to pace. If you get the pace wrong, it will spit it out, and it did.
Boccia.
Yeah, he's going to, and the problem is with that ball being to the side now, it gives Boccia the same shot, and he can play it with freedom, knowing that that blue is going to hold the ball for him.
Lovely from Boccia.
Just played it with freedom. Didn't need to worry. He knew that even if he hit it too hard, it was going to bounce off. And it went bounce the wrong side, but if it bounced the other side, that blue was going to just hold it there. So yeah, and he's also given his teammate a lovely little target as well. So yeah, that's going to be free to Thailand. I'd almost put mortgage on it.
Well, it's definitely going to be 2, and they're going to go into the final end with a lead. Can they go in with a
Yeah, they need the 2 points.
Cushion?
I would be. You need the 2 point cushion. It's so important. Particularly as all the ends have been 1-1-1-1-1 up until this point. That 2 point cushion could be crucial. And then Japan have to break out and go aggressive, which will suit Thailand.
Do it. What a shot.
Yeah, it was going to be free. He had such a big target. It was quite straightforward actually for him. He likes targets, so yeah.
Well
done, Thailand. Good play.
What a switch around on the cards here. 3-2 up with Japan, and now.
Just think they played it too early. Still think they played it too early. I think they maybe had an easier chance for possibly 4 if they'd have waited a little bit longer. But hey, got the 3.
Got the 3, and you can't have it all sometimes.
I'm greedy. I am. Yeah, give me 6 all day. Yeah.
Thailand, well, they go into the final end 5-3 up. We're still set up for a fascinating end to this BC1, BC2 final, and there is still 2 brilliant games to come as well. Our next game will be the pairs BC3 final against Greece and Australia. Do not go anywhere this afternoon. The best of the sporting action around the country is right here. And it's going to be an intriguing end to this game.
That's what Thailand can do to you. Give them a sniff. They take 3. And you know.
Even though they've not been at their best, have they, in a sense?
And Japan didn't deal with that very well. And it all started from the end before, where they had the chance and they didn't take it. And like I said, I cannot believe that he didn't give that a whack. Still can't like fathom where the communication. There was definitely a breakdown in communication. You know, if I was the BC1 in the middle or the 2 on the left, I'd have been screaming, just get that jack out, because yeah, it was so there for them. And that's the price now. They, you know, put themselves under pressure. Thailand worked that in well, which they were going to do at some point. They're going to have one good end, and you know, Japan could have quite easily been 6-5 up going into the last end or more. They're now seeing themselves 2 points behind with a mountain to climb. And I don't know where they're going to put the jack now. It'll be interesting. He looks like he's going a bit longer.
Yeah, he's certainly put his arm through it. He's going to go and test out the Thailand players.
He's gone for the seam, the old Japanese seam. They played that way against me, just straight down the middle. There's a nice little where the court joins together on there. There's a nice little ridge, and the balls just don't quite like it. So the Japanese are trying to make it messy. I don't blame them.
Crazy finish to this final. Takayuki follow up.
This goes on. Chance.
In the open. Yeah. You can hear the roars from the players and staff of Thailand.
Yeah, I mean the line, the pace is great, which is really annoying when you go along and you get the pace spot on. You just think, oh man, what are you doing? Yeah, the line.
The hardest bit,
yeah,
and you just want to get the line right.
But the line, like I said, the line on this floor is hard because of the crease, but it's backfired on them. And in Thailand, they've got a BC1 who is one of the best in the world at the long stuff. So, yeah, you leave him an open jack, he'll fill it.
He's certainly a clinical player. Hubadit to lay it up for Thailand. Can they take control in this final end?
Just got to make sure his shoulders relax. Don't hold it too long. Yeah, he looks fine to me.
Looks so composed now.
Yeah, he
goes for it.
He's got a nice line. Yeah, that's good. All Thailand need to do now is just keep making Japan play. They don't have to be on it at all. Actually, the fact that it's not on it sometimes can work in their favour because it just keeps making Japan lay up. And Japan don't want to do that. They want to be on the white, and they want to be. Basically, you want Thailand to play all 6 balls, and then you've got a bit like Greg did in his final. You want them to play out quick because the long ends it's so hard to do the knocking or the moving around and nudging. So anything in and around the jack is happy days.
So it's an important follow-up ball for Nakamura now for Japan. They need to be, like you said, David, almost ping-pong. Just keep it going between them, Thailand and Japan.
Thailand want it to be ping-pong. Japan want to just nail it. Frankly, it needs to be bang on, and then you want Thailand to waste all their balls, and then you got a chance.
See what Nakamura can do here for Japan.
I mean, it's right in front of him, so you know, and he's got that. The red's a nice guide. If he can in off that red line, come off to the right.
Yeah, it looked initially like it might be, but it just did swerve
He just pulled it as he threw it. His shoulder dropped on the left side. He lost his core, as my physio would say, and his shoulder dropped and it just came off to the right. Unlucky, but he struggled up there against me a little bit in terms of getting that first ball in. So he's not. It's not his favourite position, I don't think. And he's still quite a new player, quite young. He's only 20. I spoke to him in call room. He said he was only 20, so he's got a bright future ahead of him. But yeah, needs to get some experience quickly and bang this one in.
He certainly had a good championships, and he'll gain, like you said, all this experience that he's built up, especially today on the show court.
Yeah, it needs to all come together for this ball.
Can he pull it off, Nakamura? This would be quite something if he could.
Yeah, keeps his shoulder still this time. He might get it. Yeah, that's better. Oh, the line's better, but he didn't throw it properly. You could see he just threw it straight into the floor. It's a problem with the overarm throw. If you don't get that pitch, it kills you.
It really does. It's the difference in how hard it can be in terms of throwing overarm and underarm,
and also the CP as well. The disability. He hasn't got the range that the twos have got. So to generate that power, it takes an awful lot more effort. It's not. He was probably doing full power then, near enough. And you just when you go full power, you sometimes lose that posture, or you lose the release, or something doesn't quite go right, and you end up throwing it into the floor. I've done it many times, so it's BC1 Union. Give him a bit of support.
Quite right, and he's had a fantastic week, is Nakamura. Shouldn't knock himself. See how frustrated he is, Taki.
Yeah, I mean, not wanting to be harsh, he put the jack there.
He should be trying to follow up. And
as a coach, you'd be saying, well, you put the jack there, mate. It's kind of your responsibility to get at least one close to it. And he hasn't done it. He's let his. I actually think he's been poor in this game. He hasn't taken on the shots he needed to. He's not the player I've seen before in terms of I've seen him play some cracking power shots, and he just hasn't brought that to the table, and it's just a real shame, because if he'd have played some of those shots earlier on, they wouldn't be in this position, you know.
Well, the obvious one, of course, was in that third end when he could have broke through that jack, and he opted not to.
Fourth end.
Fourth end, sorry, yeah.
That's right. No,
mixing up with the.
There's many ends in Boccia. They all kind of merge into one after a while. But yeah, no, it's okay. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I mean, he's maybe struggling a little bit because he didn't get any court time as an individual. But it's they've had quite a few games in the team, so I don't think that's an excuse. But who knows? But I don't. Just a shame really, because Japan were well in this. At one point, I actually thought they were going to win it. They looked like they were well on top. Frustrating Thailand, if anything. And now they're just not quite happening. Well, if this goes on...
Ooh.
Actually, that's giving them half a chance now, because brought the weight towards the blue, away from the red. I mean, you are relying on Thailand to miss every one of their next 5 balls, but who knows?
At least you give yourself a chance, and that's what Sugimura has done.
So yeah, that has taken it away. Yeah, it's still only 1. It's not, but that's good. It's a good ball now. But I mean, there's smiles on the Thailand faces, so I don't think they're too worried yet.
No, especially with that 2-point advantage, they'll know that Japan need at least another one to force it to the tie break.
Bit of discussion though, so it's not. They're taking it seriously, which is good. They have been known to sometimes not showboat, but just kind of relax into this last round because they know how good they are. But no, that's good. They're taking it seriously because it's still only 2 points. It only takes 1 ball to change it around, so it's good. I think they're all trying to tell him. I think it's like 2 versus 1 at the minute. Who should go? And I think both of them want box 5 to go, and he's sort of like, well, maybe one of you should go. Yeah, he doesn't look convinced.
Yeah, just a
say the least.
At least of confidence there. Thailand though,
just because it's long, and I think it's just because we want someone to get it in, and they know it's a key shot, so they're just having a debate on who should go. Oh, and he's managed to convince the other guy to go. Well done, good man.
That's the one he wanted. Vonk's now, the ball in his hands.
It doesn't really matter, I don't think. I don't think it matters who goes. It's just who feels confident with it at that point. And it's good that one of them's like, okay, fine. If you don't fancy it, I will.
Uses the other ball.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
Tried to use the...
Yeah. I don't think the blue was... obviously trying to move the blue out of the way. But I don't think the blue was in the way in the first place, particularly. So, I don't know about that. But I guess it's made it safe, though, now. It's going to be a safe error. Like, it's going to be really hard for Japan to move the jack back to that blue. So maybe they're playing the pragmatic approach, getting rid of any possible banana skin.
Especially with no blue balls behind as well.
He's gone lofty. Yeah, that's why he didn't fancy it. Okay, interesting. Thailand. That's 2 balls that haven't really done anything, I don't think. Like, I mean, the shot for me would be just lay up to the blue. Even it don't have to be on the white. Just lay up to the blue. And if you don't fancy it, why not use your BC1? BC1 Union coming out again.
Well, there they are. They're the ones that try and lay it up for you, and again.
Yeah, you see, I think BC1's got a nice shot there. Anything just past that short blue. No. So, just thinking about maybe Sarah's just spotted that maybe they're trying to block out the BC2 with the ball left, but I mean, I don't think it has blocked him out particularly. I mean, they just made a nice, pretty pattern. Sorry, I like to state the obvious sometimes, but yeah, pretty patterns aren't much cop in Boccia. You've got to get a ball close to the white.
Exactly, you can make as many patterns as you want. If you're not closer, it doesn't really mean much. And who predicts? The guy who does a lot of the work in terms of laying it up and making it all happen.
He set it up for him he set it up in the last end. He set up the chance. He put that when the ball was open. He put it on, put the Japanese under pressure, and then meant that his twos could then do their thing. So yeah, he's vital to their team and how they work.
Who predict? Looking to lay this one up. Let's see what he can do. Goes for it.
Okay. Well, see.
Would you believe it? This is going right down to the wire.
God blimey. Can you imagine another tie break?
I don't know if my heart can take another one, David. I'm not going to lie, but
I like another tie break.
It would certainly add to the tension and the drama that we've seen.
Keep me on the mic for a bit longer.
It's been a pleasure to have you on, David. It really has. It's always good to get an insight of a number one player in the world.
He's trying to block him out. I don't think that's far too short. So defensive. This was very unlike Thailand. They haven't really, apart from the fifth end where they were really clinical and they really took it on. They've been a bit defensive. I'm surprised. They're normally so aggressive. Maybe it's the floor. Maybe the fact that it's quite quick. It's just messing with their heads a little bit. But yeah, just lack of aggression. Both teams arguably just lacking a little bit of that final killer blow. Which is ironic because they're both in the final. You'd expect them both to be quite, but yeah, that's good. I mean, as a slightly biased spectator, bodes well for us. If we can match their level and then improve on it, happy days.
Sugimura, the hopes of a nation on his shoulders, the captain's armband around.
Tough shot. He's got a tough shot.
It's a tough shot.
I mean, but it's kind of the case now where you just hit and hope.
Yeah.
Full power, as straight as possible. If he gets if he gets his wrist fully through the ball,
Wongsa
and clips
hardly
away.
Could even look. Here we go for the World Championship.
It's too short.
And it's too short. And Thailand are the world champions in the BC1, BC2.
Tough shot. Gave it everything. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't throw a little bit harder, but he's probably trying to be clever and just laying dead weight, which is a tough shot at that distance.
Certainly was. And what a final. It sent us all the way to the final end. The final with drama, it twisted and turned, it gave us so many different...
My name is Yuriko Fujii. 決勝戦最終エンドでジャック前を取った杉村キャプテンの一球は忘れられません。最後の一球まで勝敗のわからない厳しい試合を劇的な展開で勝ち上がっていったとても印象に残る大会でした。一貫
My name is Takumi Nakamura. 団体戦準々決勝韓国戦の最終エンドで最後の2球を任されて緊張しましたが、仲間を信じ、自分を信じ、勝ち進むことができてよかったです。決勝戦ではタイとの攻防戦の末負けてしまい、とても悔しかったです。次の東京大会では必ず勝ちたいと思います。Become one.
My name is 秀高杉村。2018年の世界選手権は選手、アシスタント、スタッフが一つとなり、チームワークで掴んだ銀メダルは大きな自信となりました。静寂の中に照らされていた初めてのセンターコートはきらびやかで、高揚感と緊張感がありました。世界選手権の決勝にふさわしい素晴らしい舞台を用意してくださったことにチーム一同感謝いたします。これからも最高の舞台で活躍できるよう 今できることを一つ一つ取り組んでいきたいと思っています。Become One。
My name is 高木広瀬。大会では選手の皆さんとの交流やその後大会に向けての課題などが得られることができました。大会で誰か一人がチームを引っ張るのではなく、一試合一試合違うメンバーがヒーローとなる、そんな試合展開でした。まさしく4人で勝利をつかんだ大会でした。チームの一員として頑張っていきたいと思います。一冠。